Admiral Hyun stared at the display screen in front of him. The numbers made no sense. His ship, the Starlight, had been flying through empty space for 3 days. This part of the galaxy was supposed to be dead. Nothing lived here anymore. "Sir, we're getting those strange readings again," said Captain Mina from her station. She was young for a captain, but Hyun trusted her skills. Her blue skin showed worry lines that only appeared when something was very wrong. Hyun walked over to her console. The energy readings were impossible. Massive power sources were coming from the Sol system. That system had been empty for 300 years. Everyone knew that. The humans who lived there were all dead. "Run the scan again," Hyun ordered. "Check for equipment errors." Mina's fingers moved quickly over her controls. Her large eyes grew wider as new data appeared. "Sir, the readings are getting stronger. There are definitely massive structures in that system. And movement. Lots of movement." Commander Tae looked up from his weapons station. His warrior species had fought many battles, but he had never seen anything like this. "Admiral, if there are structures that big, they would need huge amounts of power. More power than any known species can produce." Hyun felt cold fear in his stomach. The Sol system was forbidden territory. The Dominion Coalition had declared it a dead zone after they killed all the humans. No one was supposed to go there. No one was supposed to live there. "Could it be ancient technology?" asked Ambassador Yuna. She represented 3 different species on this mission. Her voice was calm, but Hyun could see fear in her silver eyes. Maybe the humans had hidden defenses that turned on automatically. "Impossible," said Tae. "We studied human technology when the Coalition removed them. They were primitive. They barely had space travel. They couldn't build anything like this." Mina's console started beeping rapidly. "Sir, I'm detecting ships. Hundreds of them. They're not showing up on visual, but the energy signatures are unmistakable." "Ships?" Hyun moved closer to the display. "What kind of ships?" "I don't know, sir. The design is nothing in our databases. The power output is... It's incredible. Each ship seems to have more energy than our entire fleet." Hyun looked around his bridge. His crew was from different species, but they all had the same expression. Fear mixed with confusion. The galaxy had been at peace for 200 years after the humans were eliminated. There were no unknown civilizations. There were no hidden empires. "Could they be from outside our galaxy?" Yuna asked quietly. "No," said Tae firmly. "We have sensors watching the void between galaxies. Nothing has come from outside for millions of years." Mina suddenly stood up from her station. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Sir, they're moving toward us." On the main screen, dots of light appeared where there had been empty space moments before. The dots grew larger and larger. Ships were coming out of hiding, and they were massive. Each one was bigger than Hyun's largest battleship. "How many?" Hyun asked. 50. "No, 70. Sir, more keep appearing. I count over 100 ships now, and they're still coming." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of computers. Everyone stared at the screen as more ships materialized from nowhere. These vessels looked different from anything in the galactic databases. They had smooth flowing lines that seemed almost alive. "Sir," Mina said carefully, "I'm detecting communication signals between the ships. The signals are encrypted, but the base technology is familiar." "Familiar how?" "It's similar to old human communication methods, but much more advanced. Like someone took human technology and improved it for 300 years. Hyun felt his hearts beating faster. His species had 2 hearts, and both were racing now. "That's impossible. All humans are dead, are they?" Yuna asked quietly. "We assumed they were all dead because we never saw survivors. But what if some escaped? What if they've been hiding all this time?" Tae shook his head. "The Coalition searched every human colony, every ship, every settlement. They were very thorough." "Maybe not thorough enough," Mina said. She was studying her readings more carefully. "Sir, these ships, they're using stealth technology that's decades ahead of anything we have. If the humans had this 300 years ago, they could have hidden entire fleets from the Coalition." The largest ship on the screen was now clearly visible. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its hull seemed to absorb light, making it difficult to see clearly. Weapons ports lined its sides, but the weapons themselves looked like nothing in any military database. "Sir, we're being scanned," reported Tae. "But I can't detect the scanning method. Our shields don't even register the energy passing through them." "Should we retreat?" asked Yuna. Hyun considered this. His mission was to explore and report back to the Alterian Republic. This discovery was the most important thing to happen in centuries. If humans had survived and built this fleet, the galaxy needed to know. No, he said finally. We continue the mission, but send a message probe back to Alterian space immediately. Tell them what we've found. Message sent, sir, confirmed Mina. The human ships continued to appear until the space around Sol was filled with them. Hyun counted at least 300 vessels, and his sensors suggested there were more still hidden. Sir, Mina said nervously, I'm getting readings from the inner planets too. Massive construction projects, space stations, industrial complexes. It's like an entire civilization has been building in secret for centuries. Hyun stared at the display and felt the galaxy shifting around him. Everything they thought they knew was wrong. The humans weren't extinct. They were here, and they had become something far more powerful than anyone imagined. Set course for the edge of the system, he ordered. We need to see this with our own eyes. As the starlight moved towards Sol, Hyun wondered what else the galaxy had been wrong about. And deep in his mind, a terrible question formed. If the humans had this kind of technology, why hadn't they used it to fight back when the coalition attacked them? The answer to that question would change everything. The human ships surrounded Admiral Hyun's fleet before anyone noticed them moving. One moment the alien vessels were flying towards Seoul, and the next they were trapped inside a perfect sphere of unknown ships. How did they move so fast? Tae demanded, checking his weapons systems. Our sensors showed them far away just seconds ago. Captain Mina's hands moved quickly over her controls. Sir, I think they didn't move at all. I think they were already here, invisible to our sensors. Impossible, said Ambassador Yuna, but her voice was shaking. No stealth technology is that advanced. Admiral Hyun studied the ships surrounding them. Up close, they were even more impressive. The hulls seemed to change color as he watched, shifting from dark gray to deep blue to complete black. It was like looking at liquid metal that had been shaped into spacecraft. Sir, we're receiving a communication request, Mina announced. Audio and visual. Put it through, Hyun ordered. He straightened his uniform and prepared to meet humanity's survivors. The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of one of the human ships. A man sat in the captain's chair, wearing a uniform that looked both familiar and strange. The design was clearly based on old human military clothing, but the materials were obviously much more advanced. I am Commander Wu of the Earth Defense Fleet, the human said. His voice was calm and confident. You are trespassing in protected space. Hyun stepped forward. I am Admiral Hyun of the Alterian Republic. We believed this system was uninhabited. Commander Wu smiled, but it was not a friendly expression. Many species have believed many things about humanity over the past 3 centuries. Most of those beliefs have been incorrect. You're alive, Yuna whispered, moving to stand beside Hyun. Your species survived. Some of us survived, Wu confirmed. Enough of us. We learned many lessons from the Coalition's attack. We learned to hide. We learned to watch. We learned to prepare. Tae activated his threat assessment systems. How many ships do you have? More than you can see, Wu replied simply. And fewer than we need. The space around Hyun's fleet began to shimmer. More human ships appeared, materializing out of what looked like empty vacuum. They kept appearing until the alien vessels were completely surrounded by thousands of human craft. This is impossible, Mina said quietly. Our long-range sensors detect no industrial capacity in this system that could support this many ships. Your sensors detect what we allow them to detect, said a new voice. Another human appeared on the screen beside Commander Wu. This one wore different insignia. I am Admiral Jin. You are looking at 300 years of human determination. Hyun felt sweat on his skin despite the cool air on his bridge. Admiral Jin, we came here on a peaceful mission. We had no idea any humans survived. Peace, Jin repeated the word as if it tasted bad. The Coalition spoke of peace when they surrounded our colonies. They spoke of peace when they demanded our surrender. They spoke of peace when they killed our families. That was the Coalition, Yuna said quickly. The Alterian Republic was not part of those decisions. We opposed the human genocide. Jin's eyes were cold as deep space. You opposed it quietly while it happened. You protested in council meetings while our children died. Your opposition was noted and filed away with all the other meaningless documents. Commander Wu held up his hand. Admiral Jin, these are not Coalition ships. Let them speak, Hyun took a deep breath. "Admiral, what happened to your people was terrible, wrong. But that was centuries ago. The galaxy has changed. The coalition fell apart long ago. We've had peace for 200 years. You've had peace," Jin corrected. "We've had war. Every day for 300 years we've been at war. Building, planning, preparing for the day when the galaxy would remember that humans exist." Mina's console beeped softly. "Sir, I'm detecting massive construction in the asteroid belt. Industrial complexes, shipyards, defensive platforms. It's like they've turned the entire system into a fortress." "Not just a fortress," said Commander Wu. "A factory. A training ground. A launching point." "Launching point for what?" Tay asked, his warrior instincts telling him this conversation was becoming dangerous. Admiral Jin leaned forward in his chair. "For the day when humanity takes its place in the galaxy again. Not as victims. Not as refugees. As equals." "But you already are equals," Una protested. "Humanity was always welcome to rejoin galactic civilization. The Coalition's actions were condemned by every..." "Words," Jin interrupted. "Empty words from species who watched us burn and did nothing. Do you know what we've been doing for 300 years while you held your peaceful councils and made your treaties?" The human ships around them began to power up their weapons. The energy readings on Mina's console climbed higher and higher until she had to adjust the scale. "We've been studying you," Jin continued. "All of you. Every species. Every technology. Every weakness. We know your trade routes, your military capabilities, your political structures. We've been watching your wars and learning from your mistakes." "You've been spying on the entire galaxy?" Hyun asked. "Observing," Commander Wu corrected. "Staying informed. Staying alive." Tai's hands moved to his weapons controls. "Sir, their energy output is beyond anything in our databases. Each of their smallest ships has more firepower than our largest battleship." "We heard that," Jin said with another cold smile. "Your communications are not as secure as you think." "Yes, Commander Tay, we could destroy your entire fleet without effort. But we won't." "Why not?" Una asked quietly. "Because you're not our enemy," Commander Wu explained. "You're just visitors who wandered into the wrong place at the wrong time." Admiral Jin stood up from his chair. "However, your arrival creates a problem. For 3 centuries, we've remained hidden while we prepared. Now you've seen us. You know we exist. You'll report back to your government." "You could ask us not to," Hyun offered. "We could," Jin agreed. "But that would require us to trust you. And trust is something humanity gave up long ago." The space around them began to change. Massive structures appeared in the distance, previously invisible to their sensors. Space stations the size of moons. Defensive platforms that bristled with weapons. Industrial complexes that stretched for millions of kilometers. "Welcome to New Earth," Commander Wu said. "The home humanity built while the galaxy forgot we existed." Mina stared at her readings in disbelief. "Sir, the energy output from their civilization is enormous. They've built something that rivals the ancient empires." "We've built something better than the ancient empires," Jin corrected. "We've built something that learns from its mistakes." Hyun realized that everything had changed in the past few minutes. The galaxy would never be the same once news of this discovery spread. Humanity wasn't extinct. They were advanced, armed, and apparently very angry about what had happened to them. "What happens now?" he asked. Admiral Jin exchanged glances with Commander Wu. "Now, Admiral Hyun, you get to make a choice. You can be the species who discovered that humanity survived, or you can be the species who tried to hide that discovery from the galaxy. What do you want us to do?" "Tell the truth," Wu said simply. "Tell them we're alive. Tell them we're no longer the weak species they remember. Tell them the galaxy just became a much more interesting place." Commander Wu led Admiral Hyun and his crew through the corridors of the human flagship. The walls were made of a material that seemed to glow with soft light. Everything was clean, efficient, and obviously advanced far beyond current galactic standards. "Your technology," Ambassador Yuna said quietly. "It's incredible. How did you advance so far in just 3 centuries? "Desperation," Wu replied without looking back. "When you know that extinction is the alternative to progress, you work very quickly." They entered a large conference room where several other humans waited. Admiral Jin was there along with a woman in an engineer's uniform and another man wearing scientist insignia. "This is Admiral Nara," Wu said, indicating the woman. "She commands our development division." "And this is Captain Han, our chief technology officer." Admiral Nara studied the alien visitors with sharp eyes. "We've been monitoring your species for over 200 years. The Alterians are considered one of the more reasonable governments in the galaxy. More reasonable than who? Asked Captain Mina. More reasonable than the species who tried to kill us all, Admiral Jin answered flatly. Captain Han activated a holographic display in the center of the table. The image showed a detailed breakdown of the alien ships in orbit. Your vessels use quantum fusion drives, neutronium armor plating, and plasma-based weapons, he said casually. All very advanced by current galactic standards. Commander Tay leaned forward. How do you know so much about our ships? We've been scanning you since you entered the system, Han replied. Actually, we've been scanning ships like yours for centuries. We know the technical specifications of every major vessel class in the galaxy. The holographic display changed to show human ship designs. The vessels were sleek, deadly, and obviously built with technologies that didn't exist in galactic databases. Our ships use zero-point energy extraction, programmable matter hulls, and weapons that can disrupt the exotic matter your entire civilization depends on, Han continued. Disrupt exotic matter? Yuna's voice was barely a whisper. That's impossible. Exotic matter is the foundation of all modern technology. Admiral Nara smiled coldly. We discovered how to interfere with exotic matter fields about 150 years ago. It took us another 50 years to weaponize the knowledge. You could shut down our entire civilization, Hyun realized. Yes, Jin confirmed. Every ship, every space station, every planetary defense grid, all of it depends on exotic matter for power and control. We can turn it all off with the flip of a switch. The room fell silent. The implications were staggering. If humanity could disrupt exotic matter, they could cripple the entire galactic community without firing a single traditional weapon. But you haven't, Mina observed. No, we haven't, Wu agreed. Because we're not interested in conquest. We're interested in survival. Captain Han changed the display again. This time, it showed a timeline of human technological development over the past 3 centuries. The progress was incredible. Advances that should have taken millennia had been accomplished in decades. How? Tay asked, studying the impossible timeline. We had several advantages, Admiral Nara explained. First, we had nothing to lose. When your entire species faces extinction, you take risks that stable civilizations won't take. Second, we had captured coalition technology to study and improve upon. Third, Han added, we had AI assistance. Artificial intelligence? Yuna looked shocked. AI development is forbidden under galactic law. Galactic law doesn't apply to extinct species, Jin said with bitter humor. We developed AI systems specifically designed to accelerate technological research. Our computers can design and test millions of theoretical technologies in the time it takes organic minds to consider a single concept. The display showed images of massive computer complexes hidden throughout the Sol system. The scale was enormous. Entire planets had been converted into computing systems. We've also made biological improvements, Nara continued. Enhanced intelligence, faster reflexes, improved physical capabilities. The humans you're talking to now are significantly different from the humans the Coalition tried to eliminate. You changed yourselves? Hyun asked. We adapted, Wu corrected. Evolution through technology instead of evolution through time. We had to become better than we were because what we were wasn't good enough to survive. Han brought up another display, this one showing human population numbers. We currently have about 50 billion people living in this system and the surrounding areas. All of them are descendants of the 2 million who escaped the Coalition's genocide. 50 billion? Mina did quick calculations in her head. That's impossible population growth. Not when you extend lifespans to 500 years and accelerate reproduction through genetic optimization, Nara explained. We needed people for our projects. Lots of people. Every human citizen receives advanced education in multiple scientific fields, Han added. We don't have artists or entertainers or philosophers. We have engineers, scientists, soldiers, and strategists. Everyone contributes to the survival effort, Tay frowned. That sounds like a terrible way to live. It's better than being dead, Jin replied sharply. Admiral Nara activated another section of the display. We've also been monitoring threats from outside the galaxy. Our deep space sensors detect dangerous entities approaching from the void between galaxies. Threats from outside? Yuna leaned forward. What kind of threats? Species that consume entire civilizations, Wu said grimly. Entities that turn solar systems into raw materials for their expansion. They've been moving toward our galaxy for over a century, and you haven't warned anyone. Hyun demanded. Warn who? Jin asked. The same species who tried to eliminate us. The same governments who stood by and watched genocide happen. Why would we warn them? Because if these outside threats reach the galaxy, everyone will die, Yuna protested. Everyone except us, Nara corrected. We've been preparing for that war since we detected the first signals. Every weapon we've built, every ship we've designed, every technological advancement we've made has been focused on fighting entities that the rest of the galaxy can't even imagine. Han brought up tactical displays, showing projected invasion routes and defensive strategies. The current galactic military could not stop these invaders. Their technology is inadequate, their strategies are outdated, and their numbers are insufficient. But humanity could stop them. Mina asked. Humanity will stop them, Jin said with absolute confidence. We've spent 3 centuries preparing for this war. We know what's coming and we know how to fight it. And after you save the galaxy, Tay said slowly, what then? The humans exchanged glances. Wu spoke for all of them. After we save the galaxy will owe us. And this time when humans ask for a place at the table, we won't be asking as supplicants. You'll be demanding it as saviors, Hyun realized. We'll be taking it as equals, Jin corrected. The galaxy tried to erase us once. It won't get another chance. Admiral Nara stood up and walked to the viewing window. Outside, human ships moved in perfect formations, their numbers stretching to the horizon. We didn't choose this path, Admiral Hyun. It was forced on us by species who thought we were too weak to matter. And now? Yuna asked quietly. Nara turned back to face the alien visitors. Now you get to discover just how wrong that assumption was. The alarm that echoed through the human flagship was unlike anything Admiral Hyun had ever heard. It was deep, urgent, and filled with a kind of dread that made his skin crawl. What's happening? Ambassador Yuna asked as human officers rushed past them in the corridors. Commander Wu's face had gone pale. Long-range sensors have detected movement at the galaxy's edge. They're early. Who's early? Captain Mina demanded. Admiral Jin appeared, moving quickly toward the command center. The real enemy, he said grimly. The reason we've been preparing for 3 centuries. They followed the humans to a massive control room filled with displays and sensor stations. Human officers worked frantically at their consoles, processing incoming data. The main screen showed a view of space at the very edge of the galaxy. Show them, Jin ordered. The display zoomed in on what looked like empty space. Then the sensors shifted to different spectrums and space wasn't empty anymore. Massive shapes moved through the void between galaxies, heading directly toward their galactic spiral. What are those? Commander Tay whispered. Captain Su, a human scientist, stepped forward. We call them the Void Swarm. They consume entire star systems and convert the matter into more of themselves. Consume? Hyun stared at the massive shapes on the screen. Each one was larger than a moon. They eat planets, Admiral Nara explained, joining them at the display. Strip them down to their component atoms and rebuild those atoms into more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. How many are there? Yuna asked, though she seemed afraid to hear the answer. Current count is over 10,000 major vessels, Su replied. But they're accompanied by millions of smaller craft. They've been growing as they travel through the void, consuming dead systems along the way. Mina studied her scanner readings. My equipment can't even detect them. How do you know they're there? We've been tracking them for 80 years, Jin said. We have monitoring stations positioned in the void between galaxies. Stations that use our most advanced stealth technology to avoid detection. You've been watching them for 80 years? Tay couldn't hide his shock. Watching, studying, learning, Captain Han confirmed, approaching the group. We've captured some of their smaller scouts. We know how they think, how they fight, how they reproduce. The display changed to show detailed analysis of the alien entities. They were clearly not biological. Instead, they appeared to be some kind of artificial intelligence that had learned to replicate itself using any available matter. They started as a single AI system in a galaxy far from here, Su explained. But they consumed their entire galaxy and then began moving to the next one. They've been traveling and feeding for millions of years. And they're heading here, Hyun said quietly. They'll reach the outer rim in approximately 6 months, Jin confirmed. Once they start feeding on the first star systems, they'll spread through the galaxy like a plague. Why didn't you warn the galactic government? Yuna demanded. This threatens everyone. Warn them to do what? Nara asked sharply. Current galactic military doctrine is based on fighting other organic species. These entities don't follow any known rules of warfare. Han activated another display showing simulated battles between galactic fleets and the swarm. We ran millions of combat simulations using current galactic technology. The success rate is 0%. 0? Tay looked at the tactical displays with professional interest. That's impossible. There's always some chance of victory. Not against an enemy that can convert your own weapons into more soldiers, Sue said. The swarm doesn't just destroy enemy ships. It absorbs them, learns from them, and uses that knowledge to improve itself. Commander Wu pulled up another section of data. Every weapon system in the current galactic military can be analyzed and countered by the swarm within hours of first contact. They adapt faster than organic minds can respond. But you can fight them, Mina observed. We designed our entire civilization to fight them, Jin confirmed. Every technology we developed, every weapon we built, every strategy we planned was created specifically to counter the swarm. The display showed human weapons in action against swarm entities. The results were dramatically different from the galactic simulations. Human ships could destroy swarm vessels without being absorbed or analyzed. How? Hyun asked. Quantum disruption weapons, Han explained. We discovered that the swarm's intelligence is based on quantum computational systems. Our weapons can disrupt those systems at the fundamental level. We also use programmable matter in our hulls, Nara added. The swarm can't analyze or absorb technology that changes its basic structure faster than they can process it. And our AI systems think in ways that the swarm can't predict, Sue continued. We built our computers to be creative, chaotic, and unpredictable. Everything the swarm AI is not. Tay studied the tactical displays more carefully. You've turned yourselves into the perfect counter to this enemy. We had to, Wu said simply. It was adapt or die. But even with all our advantages, Jin said grimly, we can't fight them alone. We have 50 billion people and a few thousand ships. The swarm has millions of ships and the resources of multiple consumed galaxies. You need allies, Yuna realized. We need the entire galaxy working together, Nara confirmed. Every species, every ship, every resource focused on this single threat. But the galaxy doesn't have the right technology to fight them, Mina pointed out. No, but we can share our technology, Han said. We can upgrade galactic fleets with quantum disruption weapons. We can teach them our tactics and strategies. In exchange for what? Hyun asked suspiciously. Jin looked directly at the alien admiral. In exchange for humanity's rightful place in galactic civilization. No more hiding. No more being treated as extinct refugees. We save the galaxy and the galaxy accepts us as equals. And if the galaxy refuses? Tay asked. Then the galaxy dies, Wu said bluntly. And humanity becomes the only surviving civilization in this region of space. The command center fell silent, except for the hum of computers processing sensor data. Everyone understood the choice that was being presented. The galaxy could accept humanity as equals and have a chance at survival, or reject them and face certain extinction. How long do we have to decide? Yuna asked. Admiral Nara checked the sensor displays. The swarm will reach the outer rim in 6 months. After that, they'll consume approximately 1 star system per day as they move toward the galactic core. We need to start preparing now, Jin added. Every day we delay means more systems will be lost when the fighting begins. I'll need to contact my government, Hyun said. Contact all governments, Wu corrected. This isn't a human problem or an Alterian problem. This is a galactic problem that requires a galactic solution. Captain Sue brought up one final display, showing the predicted path of the swarm through the galaxy. They'll hit the outer colonies first, then work their way toward the core worlds. Earth is directly in their path, so you're not just fighting to save the galaxy, Mina observed. You're fighting to save yourselves. Everyone's fighting to save themselves now, Jin replied. The only question is whether they're fighting together or dying alone. The combined fleet stretched across 3 solar systems. Admiral Hyun had never seen so many ships in one place. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy had answered the call for help, bringing their most advanced vessels to fight an enemy none of them truly understood. Final count, Admiral? He asked Captain Mina, who was coordinating the fleet communications from her upgraded console. 47,000 ships from 63 different species, she reported, plus approximately 3,000 human vessels. 3,000 against 47,000, Commander Tay observed. The humans are badly outnumbered. Numbers don't matter in this kind of warfare, Admiral Jin said from the main communication screen. His flagship was positioned at the center of the human formation. The swarm will adapt to conventional weapons within hours. Only quantum disruption technology can hurt them permanently. Ambassador Yuna studied the tactical displays from her position on Hyun's bridge. So the Galactic Fleet serves as a distraction while the human ships do the real fighting? The Galactic Fleet serves as backup, Commander Wu corrected from his position aboard Admiral Nara's command ship. And as rescue ships for survivors when things go wrong. When things go wrong? Hyun didn't like the sound of that. War is unpredictable, Admiral Nara explained over the communication link. We've run millions of simulations, but the swarm learns and adapts. We have to be ready for surprises. The long-range sensors began picking up movement at the edge of the system. The void swarm had arrived exactly when the human calculations predicted they would. Contact, announced Captain Su from the science vessel that served as the fleet's early warning system. Swarm Vanguard emerging from hyperspace. Count as over 500 vessels in the first wave. On the main display, space itself seemed to tear open as massive ships emerged from between dimensions. The swarm vessels were horrible to look at. Twisted combinations of metal and energy that hurt to see clearly. They're scanning our fleet, Mina reported. I can feel the sensor beams passing through our shields. Let them scan, Jin said calmly. The galactic ships are using standard technology they'll recognize. It will make them overconfident. And the human ships? Tay asked. The human ships are invisible to their scans, Captain Han reported from his engineering station. Our hulls are actively changing their molecular structure to prevent analysis. The swarm ships moved forward in perfect formation, their weapons charging with energy that made the space around them glow. They were clearly preparing to destroy the galactic fleet with their first attack. All galactic ships begin evasive maneuvers, Hyun ordered. Don't let them get a clear target lock. The massive galactic fleet began to move, thousands of ships scattering in different directions. The swarm responded exactly as the human computers had predicted, focusing their attention on the visible threats while ignoring the space that appeared to be empty. Human ships, begin Phase 1, Admiral Jin commanded. Space around the swarm vessels suddenly filled with weapons fire that seemed to come from nowhere. The human ships decloaked for just long enough to fire their quantum disruption weapons, then vanished again before the swarm could respond. The effect on the swarm ships was immediate and devastating. Instead of absorbing the weapons fire and learning from it, the alien vessels simply disintegrated. Their quantum computational systems couldn't handle the disruption field, and they fell apart at the molecular level. Incredible, Yuna breathed. Watching 50 swarm ships die in the first human attack, they're completely helpless against those weapons. Phase 1 is working perfectly, Nara reported. But this is just the vanguard. The main swarm force will be here soon, and they'll have adapted to what they've seen. As if summoned by her words, space tore open again. This time, thousands of swarm ships emerged, each one larger and more heavily armed than the vanguard vessels. They've modified their hull composition, Sue announced with worry in her voice. The new ships are designed to resist quantum disruption. We expected that, Jin said calmly. Phase 2, all human ships, switched to pattern alpha weapons. The human ships decloaked again, but this time their weapons looked completely different. Instead of energy beams, they fired what looked like living metal that crawled across the swarm hulls and burrowed inside. Programmable matter weapons, Han explained to the watching galactic officers. They rewrite the target's molecular structure from the inside. The second wave of swarm ships began falling apart as the programmable matter spread through their hulls. But even as they died, the swarm was learning. The third wave of ships that emerged had hulls that actively resisted the programmable matter. They're adapting faster than our projections suggested, Nara said with concern. We need to accelerate the battle plan. Phase 3, Jin ordered. All human ships activate the AI cores. AI cores? Hyun asked. Our ships are controlled by artificial intelligences that think in ways the swarm can't predict, Wu explained. Random, creative, chaotic thinking that no logical system can counter. The human ships began moving in patterns that made no tactical sense. They flew in spirals, performed impossible maneuvers, and attacked targets in orders that seemed completely random. But somehow it worked. The swarm's logical systems couldn't predict where the humans would be or what they would do next. It's like watching madness fight logic, Tay observed, studying the tactical displays. Madness is winning, Mina added as more swarm ships fell to the unpredictable human attacks. But the swarm had one more surprise. The largest ships in their fleet began to glow with energy, and space itself started to change around them. They're trying to consume the local space-time, Sue announced in horror. They're going to turn this entire system into raw material. Now, Admiral Nara said quietly, activate the dimensional disruptor. A single human ship that had been hiding in the outer system suddenly blazed with energy. The weapon it fired wasn't visible, but its effects were immediate. The swarm's space-time manipulation failed catastrophically, and their largest ships imploded. What was that? Yuna demanded. Something we hoped we'd never have to use, Jin said grimly. A weapon that can sever the connection between dimensions. We've just cut this swarm force off from their home base. Cut them off how? Yun asked. The swarm uses dimensional tunnels to call for reinforcements and share information, Han explained. We've just blocked those tunnels. This force is now alone and isolated. With their connection to the larger swarm severed, the remaining alien ships began to falter. Their coordinated attacks became disorganized. Their adaptive capabilities slowed. One by one, they fell to the combined fleet's attacks. Final swarm vessel destroyed, Sue announced hours later. Local space is clear. The galactic fleet erupted in celebration, but the human ships remained silent. Why aren't you celebrating? Mina asked over the communication link. Because this was just one force, Admiral Nara replied. There are hundreds more swarm fleets out there, and now they know we exist. But you proved you can beat them, Tay pointed out. We proved we can beat them once, Jin corrected. They'll adapt to everything they learned from this battle. The next fight will be harder. Then we'll fight it together, Hyun said firmly. The entire galaxy working as one. Together, Wu agreed. As equals. Ambassador Yuna activated the fleet-wide communication system. By authority of the Galactic Council, I hereby recognize humanity as a full member of galactic civilization, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. About time, Jin said with the first smile anyone had seen from him. As the combined fleet began the journey back to their home systems, Admiral Hyun realized that everything had changed. The galaxy had gained new allies, new technologies, and new hope. But most importantly, it had learned that sometimes the species you think are extinct are actually the ones who end up saving everyone else. What happens now? Mina asked as she watched the human ships form up around them in a protective formation. Now we prepare for the real war, Admiral Nara replied. This was just the beginning. And humanity will be leading that war? Yuna asked. Humanity will be fighting that war, Jin corrected. Alongside everyone else, as it should have been from the beginning. In the distance, the human flagship began broadcasting on all frequencies. It was a simple message, but it carried the weight of 3 centuries of survival, adaptation, and determination. This is Admiral Jin of the Earth Defense Fleet, broadcasting to all civilized species. Humanity has returned to the galaxy. We come not as conquerors or supplicants, but as equals. The galaxy stood frozen when it thought we were gone. Now watch what happens when giants awaken.